Welcome to my individual novel study. My book was A House in the Sky by Amanda Lindhout and Sarah Corbett. A quick summary about the book was just like the girl Amanda, the author. It was about her experiences when she was traveling and when she got kidnapped in Somalia. That's pretty much it. It was just like her experiences through that. That's about it. Yeah, and so I thought it was a really good book. I enjoyed it. Sort of unbelievable that it actually happened to someone that someone that my mom knows, and that I've met the mother of the person who was kidnapped. It's sort of crazy, you know? So, yeah. It's crazy. I'm going to talk about the first and last sentences, first of all. So the first sentence was, when I was a girl, I trusted what I knew about the world. And the last sentence was, I felt like a foreigner in my own life, half caught in the world I'd left, sorrowful for the trouble I caused at home, yet surrounded again by people I loved. I also felt a pure and absolute joy. So those two sentences kind of sort of like contrast each other, because it's like the first sentence was how like the child Amanda was like felt like she knew everything about the world, like she knew her place in the world. She felt like she knew that nothing bad could happen to her. That only the bad things happen in the news and far off distances. And that was what, at the beginning, when she was young, and for most of her life before her kidnapping, that's how she felt. That the world would be nice to her, pretty much. And then the last sentence was her after the kidnapping and after all the traumatic experiences and stuff. It was her realizing the world wasn't that way. The world is much crueler than what she imagined. And that she was super naive, pretty much. And that, like, after those experiences, the reason why she said she felt like a foreigner in her own life was that she couldn't really believe that, like, what she originally, like, before she got kidnapped, she thought, oh, she knew her place, she knew this is just how the way things are. And then afterwards, it's like, got all flipped around. So it was like, oh man, I thought my life was this way, but, like, anything can change at any moment, and it's constantly changing, and like you don't feel like you know everything anymore, and it's a foreign thing, you know. But she still realized that there was still like good in the world, that there's still good things happening around her, that she still had family, and like those things were still the same. But, like, she knew that could all change. Yeah. Carrying on. I found this article, which was super interesting. Super interesting. Because it was like an article journal thing, and had, like, it talked about, like, the effects on, victims who are kidnapped, and like their reactions and like coping mechanisms that happen during and after these traumatic experiences and all the stress that comes along with it. It talked all about that, and like it put some things into place in the book. Like there's sometimes where I was like, why are they doing this? This doesn't make that much sense, because, you know, I've never been kidnapped, so I don't know how it feels. I just know their reactions from the book, and like what Amanda went through and how she was feeling. Like, I've never experienced it myself, which I am grateful of, by the way. But, like, anyways, so there's, like, a few things. Like, first of all, they talked about, like, some of the reactions in the article when, like, I'm pretty sure it was, like, maybe during the time period of the, like, I think it was both during and after the time of the traumatic experiences and all that. So one of the things was, like, a cognitive reaction, so, like, the mental thing. And it was, it is, for Amanda, it was, like, memories of back home and, like, the feeling of, like, the feeling of everything. Like, the feeling of the cold winters. And there's this one quote that, like, shows this memory of Canada when she was captured. And the quote was, "Wool, wind, dead flowers. I try to feel them on my skin. I spent so many of my winters away from Canada, in far off countries where it rarely got cold. Now, more than anything, I wanted the feel of a season, the coziness of a warm, safe house with the cold world outside." And it's like, it was Amanda's memories of Canada, of that warm feeling you get when you come into a house and it's all nice and it's all cold outside. It was that memory, and it's like one of the reactions that after being stuck in this really hot room and with no light, and it was her remembering those. It was like not the cold room, the dark room. It was like that caused a reaction in her brain to remember these things that she used to take a granted of when she did live in Canada during the winters. Another thing in the article, they talked about, like, the emotional reactions, and this is the one that I thought was really interesting because Nigel, the other person who got kidnapped with Amanda, when Amanda and Nigel still shared a room at the beginning of their kidnapping, Nigel used to get, like, aggressive, not like aggressive, but like angry in his voice a little bit. And, like, I always was like, why are you doing that, Nigel? Just chill. But, like, he just got angry at Amanda for no reason. I thought just maybe it was just like, so, like, maybe like, he blamed her a little bit. But, like, he didn't have to be so rude about it. It was his choice to come along, you know? And then it makes sense because in the article it talked about, like, the emotional reactions. And, like, one of the things, it was like people can get angry at, like, either at anyone around them pretty much. And, like, Nigel took out his anger on Amanda. And it was like, it made sense now that it was like a reaction from the traumatic experience that he went through, all the stress that your body goes through these traumatic experiences. It was just like a reaction. It was, yeah. And then, like, another thing Nigel did when they shared a room was, Nigel, like, in the article, it's like the social reaction, and Nigel used to get very, like, distant from Amanda. And it was like, I thought maybe it was just, like, shock. It was just, like, you know, he blamed Amanda, just like I said, for him being angry. I thought it was just that, but, like, he kept doing it, giving Amanda the cold shoulder, and it was just like, bro, you are in this together. Amanda is trying to cope with the situation by, like, just talking about it and just, like, trying to keep calm by talking about it, yet you're ignoring her completely. Stop this, Nigel. That's what I was always thinking. But, like, it makes sense because it's another, like, reaction to everything, which was interesting. Huh. It's like the article was, like, mind-blowing, you know? There's also, further down in the article, it was talked about coping mechanisms, like, people would use. And one of the coping mechanisms, like, one of the sentence that it said was, other individual methods of coping with extended captivity include using direct distraction, in brackets, mental arithmetics, reading and fantasy, end of bracket, regular discipline, bracket, with regards to personal hygiene and exercise, end of bracket. And I thought that made sense because, like, that quote, it made sense in Amanda's life because it was like the coping mechanism of like the fantasy, and it was like she made the fantasy of the house in the sky, which is the name of the book, which was like her way to get away, to like stay sane, to pretty much be okay. She used the fantasy land to like when she was getting sexually assaulted, she always went to the house in the sky to get away, to be like it's a normal, like she was a like she was okay, that she could live a normal life and pretend it wasn't all these things were not happening. So interesting. And then like there's also the other coping mechanism of like the discipline and like the exercise. And she used to, when she had the freedom to walk about in her room, she used to walk in circles around her room, and that was a discipline of like doing exercise, and like she'd do it almost all day. And it was another like coping mechanism to do the exercise, just to do the repeat of the motion. And I was like, it makes sense, because I thought it was just like, I don't know, something else. I thought she was just like, she needed to do something because she didn't want to read, you know? Yeah, I just thought it was all super interesting. Oh, and you know what, something else that probably would be another discipline would be, because she transitioned to the Muslim faith, they have to do like the 6 prayers every day. And that is a type of discipline. That's another type of coping mechanism that could have worked. That was like at every like the specific times you would have to pray, and that's just like a routine, something that is constant, even though she might have not done it all the time, but like it was a constant. It was like, and it wasn't like a bad constant, it was like a pretty good constant. And like that's another coping mechanism. Oh yeah. And like, even though, yeah, and that article was just, brought to light many things. It was good. Yeah. I'm grateful that my connection to this book is not kidnapping and anything like that. I think my connection by the end, I felt like it was like Amanda's sense of belonging. You know, the reason why she went to Somalia in the first place. So I think at the beginning she talks about like she didn't feel like she belonged where she was. Such in the quotes as, "I was alone more than before, myself caught inside my body, caught inside my life." And then another quote was, "When at school, a girl named Erica called across the hallway that I was a dirty kid. I shrugged like it didn't matter. My plan was to move on, far away from the school, End Street, from and from girls named Erica. It's like, it was her saying that, like, she didn't feel like she belonged in her place. She wanted to go somewhere, to experience something else, to find a place where she felt like she belonged. And, like, after she first went to another country, she realized she found something. So she returned. She went to another country after she broke up with her boyfriend and all that happened. She went back and, like, she realized she found something. She found a sense of belonging, maybe not in specifically a specific country, but in like general. Like, she found a backpacking community. She found things. And, like, just like myself, I here in Canmore, in this little town in Alberta, in Canada, I don't know. I don't feel like a sense like of belonging. I feel like, yeah, no, I don't have a sense of belonging here. First of all, Canmore's such a whitewashed town. I'm a person of color. Sort of stick out a little bit, plus being really tall. A little bit. And then, like, I am really quiet. You probably noticed, except for, like, those odd times. But, like, I'm pretty quiet. I'm pretty conserved. And, like, with being my quietest, I have been stuck into a mold. A mold that I don't want to be in. It's surprising, because when I first left Canada and went to Japan for the first time, I gained something. I found a sense of belonging. I found like myself, almost. And surprisingly, I broke out of that mold. Surprisingly, I am a leader. Except I can't become a leader in Canmore in this high school because I lack the opportunity almost, because people won't take me seriously. Just because of who I am. And it's interesting. And, like, I want to leave Canada again. I'm going to go back to Japan. I know this. I will. Because I want that belonging. I like that belonging. I'm going to travel somewhere. I'm going to find more of that belonging. I'm going to find a community where I feel like I belong. That's my goal. That was Amanda. She wanted to find her belonging. And that was the backpacking community. It was that. And even though the kidnapping sort of took away her sense of belonging, I believe she will refine her sense of belonging through, going back to Somalia and helping with her new, like, her nonprofit organization. But yeah, I think overall, I want a sense of belonging. She wants to find a sense of belonging. Her book was fantastic, even though it was unbelievable. And yeah, that is the end. Farewell.